sunshines.
Hey, sunshines.
We have a special guest this evening, Alexandra. She will be joining us to discuss all things Etsy and teaching. Of course, that resonated with me because, of course, you all know I was a former teacher, second grade, and Alexandra actually taught as well, but then transitioned into having her own Etsy shop. And she actually transitioned to the top
1% in Etsy. How crazy is that to go from like none to one, which is the title of her book as well. So she published a book, an ebook all about becoming an Etsy seller and an easy and accessible tool to help you do the same. So taking that teaching and applying it somewhere else. So hopefully this resonates with some of you as well. I know we had some people reach out and say like, hey, I'm a teacher. I'm looking to jump into entrepreneurship. Would love to hear more from guests who are doing the same. So it was really wonderful that we could bring Alexandra for you guys to hopefully connect with some of you who are in that space of, I'm not sure I want to be a teacher, or I'm not sure I love what I'm doing no matter what it is. And I'm ready to make a shift. And maybe you're more creative and Etsy is the perfect outlet for you to do that. So
yeah, for sure. But we're excited to have her. Also, too, look at our shirts, guys. Sorry for the audio listeners, you can't see, but we got branded shirts and they're super cute and we're super excited. And also, too, Mandy and I, you'll hear this on next week's episode. Mandy and I are actually doing something fun and special on Saturday for MPowered. So stay tuned, keep your eyes peeled. But
I wonder if we should make a couple announcements.
Yeah.
You know what? We haven't checked in with you guys in a hot second. So we're going to bring you Alexandra in just 1 minute. But I think before we do that, we have a lot of things coming up. It's been in 2 days, officially marks 30 days for us since our first episode released, since MPowered, where our baby is 1 month old. We have a 1 month old. And in the last 1 month, we have been sprinting
like with fire on our behinds.
We're going. So a couple things coming up. If you are local here to us in Charlotte, hopefully by the time this is released, a link will be released for you. If not, don't come for me in the comments. We are hosting an event partnering with Inner Circle Charlotte, our ladies over there that we love so dearly, as well as Henderson Ventures, to host a fireside chat, a little opportunity to chat with Brittany and I. Brittany and I are going to host our little couch evening.
Y'all know we love a couch.
The coziest couch. Literally come in your pajamas.
Like actually, please. Sweats. Slippers.
Yeah, we're going to be there I think we're going to get some fun, cute pajamas. Maybe just sweats. It depends on what the day calls for, you know. If it's been a day, we're just rolling in our sweats. But it's going to be an amazing event. We have some incredible sponsors and some local businesses who we're going to partner with to provide some wonderful giveaways, gifts, all of these incredible things for you guys. And it's just going to be a chance to connect with other women who are in the same space. I think we're going to probably chat about things, self-care.
Yes.
All of that, taking care of yourself, avoiding burnout. And we'll see how that goes. And we're really excited for that. And we actually have an additional event in May. May is a very busy month for us. It's a little crazy. Brittany, do you want to tell everyone about what we're doing?
Yes. So Mandy and I are actually moderating an event called Heels on Fire, hosted by Heels and Handshakes. So the event's going to be in person. It's going to be dedicated to have a space for women to come to connect with like-minded individuals and share their stories and get to know one another. It's actually a pretty good event, pretty large. So we're really excited about it. It is going to be a ticketed event. So what we're going to do, once that link is posted, we're going to share it with you all on our socials. But also, I want to make note, we are going to have a little discount code. So what you'll do, you'll send us a DM of a fire emoji and you will receive a discount for those tickets. So be on the lookout for that. Like Mandy said, we are very busy, but without further ado, we are going to introduce you to Alexandra. We hope you enjoy this episode and hopefully you all will be back, return, and like, subscribe, love on us, share, do all the things.
If you love this episode, share it on social. If there's a piece that really resonates with you, we would love to hear it. Send us your feedback. Hello, Alexandra. We are so excited to chat with you. Amazing background from Alexandra. Comes very similar to Brittany.
Very, very similar. As we were both teachers and then moving out of the teaching world and into, entrepreneurship as well. So definitely want to crack into that, but we're very excited to have you and thank you so much for joining us.
Of course, I'm so happy to be here. It's actually funny you mentioned how similar we are because I did makeup for a while, and I don't know if I mentioned that in anything I said, but I did makeup for a while.
Oh my goodness.
I'm very far removed from it now. How long?
Yeah.
I did it for about maybe like 2 years. I did a couple brides, mostly people I knew and like prom stuff. But I did try to like start an Instagram and do it, but it never took off enough to like pursue full time. And I was actually stressing too much about like messing up on brides. It was just like, I was like, let me just do it myself.
Yeah, like I got me.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. The thing is about like having clients and having a clientele is that you feel, well, one, you have to build that clientele. And so that's very hard. If you don't have like a community to like start off within, it does become a little challenging. And a lot of people ask me, they're like, would you do it full time? And I'm like, I don't want to say no because I love it and that's my passion, but also too, it's like you want to be, mindful of, well, can I do this full time? Do I have a large enough audience and like clientele to go? So I get it. I understand. And then also too, with like messing up on brides on their big day, that makes a huge difference. So it's like, you want to make sure you're on your P's and Q's 24/7.
Yeah, that's
Yes, for sure. It's stressful.
Yeah,
just a little bit.
Too much pressure. Too much pressure.
But yeah, we wanted to start off so you reached out to me and we were talking about how you're the number 1% of growing your Etsy business. And number 1% is like huge. That's amazing. So first, like, I just want you to start from start to finish, essentially. How did you get started and how did you get to that top 1%?
So I first opened my Etsy shop around like 2014 because I was buying a lot of things on Etsy and I was like, you know what? I was buying a lot of monograms, like the stickers that was so big in 2014. And I was like, let me just try to like make my own because I'm spending too much money on this. So I just ordered the machine that I needed and I started to make them myself. And then I was like, okay, I'm getting kind of good at this. Let me just open an Etsy store like these other girls did. So I opened an Etsy shop and those first I think it was maybe 7 years, I only got like 11 sales. So it was just people rolling in, buying a random thing. And some of the sales I actually canceled because I was like too busy with school and stuff. I was in school to be a teacher at that time. So I was honestly just too busy sometimes and would cancel a sale. And then I went into this a little bit, but I actually, in 2019, I injured myself somehow and I had to have an emergency back surgery that was just like weeks before my wedding. And I actually was getting married at the beginning of the school year, so mid-school year. I know that's very like no-no for a teacher.
Holy moly.
But yeah, I was getting married on October 5th. Like not a good time, but I was die hard on an October wedding. So I wasn't gonna let teaching stop me. But I ended up having surgery in September, like emergency surgery. And then I was out on leave for a really long time after the wedding. So I was like, let me just pick up my machine and like see if I can make some stuff for around the house. So I started out making for like a dog treat jar. I would do, my dog's name is Bentley, so I would do like Bentley's treats, or in the pantry like flour, sugar, just like random stickers. And then that January of 2020, I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot I have this Etsy store. Let me like upload some of these and see if I can get another income. So I uploaded them on Etsy and it like took off. I was like, who are these people buying this product? Because I had years and years before of like no sales. So I was like, I don't know how it happened. I did no research to figure out any SEO stuff. Like I really just listed it and it took off. So that was January of 2020. Then a couple months of that actually, while I was teaching, I would like run to the post office on my lunch break and like ship orders and stuff. And one time I had a meeting and I even had a colleague. I was like, can you run this to the post office? I'll pay you. Like this has to go out today. Because I did tutoring after school and stuff. Yeah. So then the pandemic hit and we were all at home, teaching at home. So I started to kind of like lean more into the Etsy and the social media, just because I had so much more free time. Like teaching online it wasn't like a full school day. It's so weird to think about that was 4 years ago, because it feels like a million years ago, but it also feels like yesterday.
Yes.
It's crazy. So I had a lot more free time. So I was focused on like growing my Instagram and kind of just like leaning into what was taking off on Etsy. And I saw some trends that were happening with like the Starbucks cups. So I went out and I think I bought like 10 Starbucks cups or something, and they sold out in like seconds when I listed them. So then I went back to Starbucks and I bought like 100. And there was times when I was like calling the Starbucks manager's cell phone and I'm like, can you please get more shipped to the store? Like these are selling so fast. And I would just add people's name to it. Yeah. Or like the cheetah print wrapped around it. So then actually at the time that spring, I was doing Weight Watchers, and there's this influencer on Instagram, Felicia Fitness Health, I think is her name. And she's like the queen of Weight Watchers. And she had this huge following of like, I think it was like 500,000 people. And so she was one of the first people I messaged. And I was like, can I just send you this cup that I made like for you? I would love to send it to you. And she let me send it to her, and she posted about it, and I got so many sales. So I was like, okay, this is what I should be doing. So I have a thing though that like I never ever would reach out to a random influencer or a random celebrity. Like I only did people I actually liked and that I enjoyed their content, and that like they could see that I've been following them for years. Like I think I reached out to Jaclyn Hill like 5,000 times. And she never answered me. But
hey, that doesn't
you could see like, I know you never know what the future holds. I actually sent a cup to one of her nieces once because I was like, that's as close as I can get.
Close, essentially to Jaclyn Hill.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was really important to me that like if they saw my message, they could scroll up and see like that I interact with their stories and like I'm a fan. I'm not just a random person trying to get exposure. So that was something that was really important to me at the time. But I also sent some products to a YouTuber who was like my favorite YouTuber at the time, and she posted a lot about my stuff. She had like 1 million subscribers on YouTube. And then about a year later, she ended up asking me if I wanted to like collaborate on a product. And it was just like one of the coolest experiences of my life. But I really just like, I just got so much exposure from sending things to people. And it was so simple. Like it literally cost, I didn't have to pay for marketing. Like it cost me the price of my item plus shipping. And I never like expected anybody to post. I'm like, if you love it, you can feel free to post, but no pressure. Like do not want this to be like a business transaction. Like if you like it and feel, inclined, like, fine. But like, if you don't, no big deal. But yeah, so that 2020 was really the year that like things took off for me and social media got going and stuff. And it was crazy.
Wow.
I was going to ask you too, as far as, because it took off in such a like super quick moment, how did your life transition from like, you said it was moving very slow at the beginning, like a few years back, you're going into teaching, you have your back surgery, you're just kind of like doing things here and there, and then all of a sudden it goes from one extreme to the other. How did you manage the differences?
So the end of that school year, 2020, in June, I actually quit teaching. I wasn't making, I don't think I was making as much as my teaching salary, but I was just having so much fun. And like, I think every educator really dreams about the day that they can leave teaching. So, and maybe that's like not right. I don't know.
I think
I
a
think
lot of
you're right. I
educator
think
like
you're right.
friends and people in my life who are like counting down to retirement.
100%.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
you're 30. Like, my heart
Yeah.
is so sad that like it's the countdown is on.
I know.
And like you get burnt out and exhausted so quickly, and you have to be like, okay, I'm ready to get out of this sometimes.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's super sad because I feel like everyone who goes into teaching goes into it because they have a passion. You know, nobody's going into teaching for the money. Like, everybody's going in for the passion. So it's really sad to learn about how that passion kind of transitions into like a yearn to leave. But we can get more into that later. But so June of that year, I quit teaching. So that freed up a lot of my time. And I was able to just like fully go into being a business owner, and just working every day, filling orders. I worked out of the guest room in my house, and I would recruit like friends and family to come help pack orders. I would pay my neighbor. There was like a high school girl. I was like, can I pay you to come help me? And so I would just like,
Resourceful.
yeah, definitely. Because I was that kid for sure that was like, do you need help? Like, I would love to help you. So I definitely utilized friends, family, and it was just so sweet to have like people reaching out to me, even like people I barely spoke to in high school. They were like, oh, I would love to like come help you pack orders if you ever need help. I was like, that is so nice. Wow. It was really sweet. But yeah, leaving teaching was what I needed to kind of push myself to work even harder.
Now, as far as like when you left teaching, do you feel as though any attributes of the profession itself contribute to how you handle situations within your Etsy shop as well? Like, how does that anything transition over, if any?
There's definitely a lot. I think number one is like creativity. Like, I was the most creative teacher, so I get to express my creativity in another way, which is really important to me. Like, if I ever lose that creativity, you can bury me, because I need to be creating and drawing, and I love making things. So I would always make like games and stuff for my students. So that's definitely something that has transitioned over. But also just kind of like the way that I talk to people. And as an educator, you have to talk to a lot of parents, a lot of administrators. You know, it's not just talking to the kids. So I have to, respond to a lot of Etsy messages and unhappy customers, which could kind of be similar to unhappy parents, and, just explaining how things work and standing up for yourself. Like, that is so important to me. So yeah, I think those are probably what I took from teaching the most.
Those all feel highly applicable. So we have a following. Brittany has like gathered us this following of educators, which is so cool and so beautiful. And we actually had like one girl directly reach out and say like, hey, I would be really curious to hear like what recommendations and next steps for teachers who are looking to do something outside of teaching. They want to transition. What advice do you have for someone who's in education and is feeling that same level of like, okay, I'm ready to get out. When can I get out? How can I get out?
Mm-hmm. Definitely, just first off, like, that is so normal. When I was teaching and I had the Etsy store, and actually my mom had a business that she wanted me to take over at the time, and I was so not about it. My friends were like, why are you not jumping on that? Like, the second, as a teacher, if I had an opportunity to leave, I would be out of here. So it really took me a long time to kind of like I was a teacher for 4 years before I left. So it took me a while to kind of be like, okay, do I want to give this up? So that is totally normal to be second guessing yourself and kind of like, wow, I went through all of this schooling. I maybe got my master's degree, and am I ready to spend all this money just to leave it behind? So that is something to just not feel guilty about. Like, absolutely not, because I don't think many people leave high school and say, I want to be an entrepreneur. Like, I can skip college and just start a business. Like, it doesn't work like that. Yeah, that is extremely rare to graduate high school and just know that you can have a successful business. So you need to go somewhere. And for a lot of people, that's college and then a career. And then you kind of figure out that that's something that you can pursue. But just advice that I would have is like, lean into what you're passionate about besides teaching. And maybe if it's only teaching, like if that's the only thing you're passionate about, can you start like a tutoring business, or can you teach college students how to be a teacher? I actually considered that for a while. I was like, I would love to leave the classroom and be a professor, and just like teach people how to teach. So it doesn't have to necessarily mean leaving teaching. Like, you can continue to teach. Just, it doesn't have to be in a school setting or in a elementary, high school setting. It could be secondary education. But really, if you have a passion, or if you have anything that can even be remotely monetized, I would say to go for it. And on the weekends, on nights, I understand for parents it's probably hard, but if you're just a single, no kids educator, and you have something that you can work on after hours and see if it takes off, like, go for it. And, just start, like, open the Etsy shop. You have to just start, as scary as it is, or whatever it is, reselling on Facebook Marketplace. Like, the possibilities are endless. And just start with one thing, one listing, or one item. One sale is honestly all that it takes. Getting that first sale is the hardest one. And once you have that, I think that that there's a market out there, and you can succeed if you work hard enough.
Yeah, I remember when I was teaching, and like we talked about, I do hair and makeup, and I was like, you know what? Like, I'm always gonna have a backup. Like, I'll always have some sort of a backup and be okay. But now, granted, I can say you seem to, like, I can definitely sense like the perfect teacher, the good handwriting, like the fun activities, all of that.
Yes.
But were you ever at a time where like you were like, okay, teaching isn't for me? Because I think that, personally speaking, like, that's definitely how I thought. I was so caught up in, how my students didn't have the right things in their life to be able to be successful in school. And so that's where my mind focused, whereas like we're so encouraged to focus just on the academics. And so I challenged myself with like trying to figure out where I should put my focus, but then you have the system being like, nope, it's just academics that you have to focus on. So it broke me, and I was like, yeah, I can't do this. But what was your actual teaching experience like, and like your views on it?
So I was also teaching in very underprivileged areas, and that is just an extreme hardship on its own, because you're being a parent to a lot of those kids. And when you go to school to be a teacher, you don't expect you're going to graduate and be a parent to 28-year-olds or whatever it is. So that definitely, can be a shock, and having to focus on test scores and reporting to admin, like how the kids are doing academically when like they can't even eat breakfast, or like they don't even have electricity at home. I'm like, I don't care what they do in math class. If they just want to sit in the corner and sleep because they were up all night hearing their parents scream, like, I don't care. I'm not worried about that. I'm more worried about meeting their emotional needs. And I think it's hard to realize what teaching is actually like before you're in it.
Absolutely.
It's just a lot different. I went through college with that hope that like I was gonna just have like the best classroom, and I'd be teaching math and English and science and doing experiments. And it's not always that. Like, it's a lot of meetings, it's a lot of paperwork, it's a lot of like crying. It's a lot of like physical. Yeah. It's, there was times when like I was at certain points doing special ed and doing an inclusion classroom, and I would get like bit by the kids. I would get punched by the kids. Like, I was like, you know what? I really didn't want to go to work today and be punched in the face. Like, I just didn't. Right. So it's just so much more different. I don't think anybody can ever expect it. And I definitely felt myself like kind of thinking, okay, can I physically and mentally do this the rest of my life? Like, I don't know if I can. I really don't. As much as I want to, and there's so much guilt around knowing that you're a good teacher and choosing to not continue, that's something I still struggle with. Like, I feel bad. I feel really bad because I know that I was a good teacher, and I know that I could have changed like hundreds of more lives if I kept going, but it was just not something I could have done for myself. Like, I would not be able to hold a daily life anymore. And I actually, I kind of like downgraded a couple positions, and I switched schools a few times. I went from being a regular classroom teacher to eventually just like pulling kids out for math tutoring. And I think sometimes being like an interventionist is the dream because you don't have like 30 kids at one time.
That's what I thought. I actually wanted to do RTI, so like a reading interventionist, and just focus on having like, your group of kids, you go and pull them out of every classroom, just because I think you're then focused on one area. They're grouped into groups of, they're on the same reading level or very near to the same one. Whereas, for instance, like I've told Mandy, I've had, at the time when I was teaching, I taught second grade, and I was teaching students who 4 of them didn't know their ABCs, whereas another student was reading on a 4th grade level in the 2nd grade. So it was like, how do you teach to a full classroom when there's such a difference and such a gap? And so, I also too thought about being, RTI focused, because it just seems so much more honed in, and you're able to actually target their goals.
Definitely. Yeah. That's math intervention is the position that I actually quit teaching out of. It's still teaching. Like, as much as it sounds easier, like you still have to deal with everything, the scores, the emotional and social needs, the parents. You still have to deal with everything. It's just less kids at a time.
Right.
But I just,
Now, moving forward,
excuse me.
Moving forward to, going into your business and creating it. I know you mentioned that your mom, she wanted you to take over her business. Now, tell us, one, what was her business, and why did you kind of hold back? You're like, actually, like, I didn't want any part of that. So tell us more about that.
So when she had, my whole life, I think she's wanted me to take over her business, which is an office center. She owns a big building in a town and rents out all the offices to people like therapists, lawyers, accountants, things like that. So that was never my passion. Like, there's just no heart in renting out space to people.
Yeah.
So my whole life, I think that she probably wanted me to follow in her footsteps, but I was just diehard on being a teacher. And there was, I'm sorry, I kind of forgot the question.
That's okay. That's okay. No, I was saying, so one, your mom wanted you to kind of take over her business. What was and you answered that already. So what was the kind of drawback of like, no, I wanted nothing to do with it. But did her having a business, I know you said that like she was a mom entrepreneur. So like transitioning, how did that give you like that motivation piece, or how did you see like, okay, my mom can do it, so can I.
So yeah, she definitely wanted me to follow in her footsteps, and me going to school to be a teacher, I was so set on being a teacher for the rest of my life. So I was always just like, no, Mom, like you can retire, you can sell your business, sell your building, and live a nice retired life because I'm a teacher. So the transition to actually now owning that business as well, it took a long time, but I think what kind of motivated that was when I was working my Etsy store out of my guest bedroom, I was like, wow, it'd be really nice to have an office. So she had a vacant office. Yes. So she had a vacant office, and being the daughter of the building owner, I got to move into an office. And that was like one of the highlights of my career, just like having a space that was mine, that, you know, something not inside of your house, like that was just huge. And I really enjoyed being there. And I would sometimes help out. Honestly, I helped my mom out with her business probably my whole life. Like I remember being like 8 to 10 years old, picking up phones and stuff and just being like, how can I help you? So I always enjoyed that, but I kind of stepped into, you know, giving tours and stuff like that when I had an office there. And then my Etsy shop actually started to take off even more. So this was the first year, and so far the only year, but I had hit 6 figures in sales in my Etsy shop.
That's awesome.
So I was like, you know what?
That's amazing.
That's so good.
It was a crazy number to see. It really was. And, you know, knowing all the backside to business, like I didn't take home anywhere close to 6 figures, but I saw that number on my dashboard, and that was really exciting for me. But I was like, I'm a 6-figure business owner. Like I don't need this free little office anymore. I need to get myself a warehouse. So I had, yeah. So I actually moved out of her office and into a bigger office that was run by somebody else. And I was there for 6 months, and my lease was up, and things had actually really slowed down at that point. So it just kind of shows like business is never like this, and it is never like this. Like it is up and down and up and down. So business had kind of started to go down. So I was like, what can I do as a backup? Like, what if my Etsy stops tomorrow? What if Etsy shuts down? What if somebody says that I'm copying their designs and they just close my shop? Like, I was really reliant on Instagram as well, because that was my biggest social media following. I was like, what if Instagram dies tomorrow? Like, I need a backup plan. So I was like, you know what, Mom, all this talk of you asking if I would take over your business. And I was like, you know what? I really think I can. I really think that I can still give myself an office there and do my Etsy shop, but also run your business that you built. And that's where I am right now. I have an office and I'm running both businesses full time.
Very good.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, that is. That's great.
So we know that you're recording from your laundry room, and I'm going to out you to the rest of everybody listening that you're recording in your laundry room, because it's bedtime for your kiddos.
Yes.
So being a child of an entrepreneur, and now you have children of your own, how do you think that shapes the way you show up as a mom? What does motherhood, what does that impact have on your entrepreneurship? And then what do you think that makes a difference in how you show up as a mom?
Well, actually, it's funny because thinking about if I was still a teacher right now, there is no way, 0% chance that I would be leaving my daughter every morning. I cannot be away from her. I cannot be away from her. So I would have had to figure something out. Like, this really just fell into place for me because I never knew it. I always imagined, being a teacher and sending my daughter to daycare, but I truly cannot be away from her. So it's just crazy to think how it worked out, because I had envisioned my life that, you know, I'd be a teacher at her school one day and she'd come into my classroom after her school day and help me grade papers and stuff. But it really kind of like flip-flopped to how I grew up. Like my bus would drop me off from school at my mom's office, and I would stay there and I would help her file papers, things like that, or just do my homework. And then we would go home together at the end of the day. Or, you know, there was a lot of times growing up that we had like a babysitter or a nanny, and I did spend a lot of time with a babysitter. So that's something I definitely don't want for my daughter. Because I remember the days that I would help my mom at the office, I just had so much more fun. So I can't wait until she's old enough. I can be like, go get mommy that red cup over there. But I've just been able to like be so much better of a mom than I ever imagined myself, because I'm able to be there. And if she gets sick, I'm able to message all the people who've placed orders and say like, you know, it's going to be a week or two pushed out. Is that okay? And I actually didn't mention this before, but my brother co-owns my mom's business with me. So it's actually now my brother and my business. So I can, you know, recruit his help if there's something going on at home, or if my daughter gets sick. So it's really crazy that like this is never a life that I thought that I would live, but I cannot imagine it any other way.
That's great. I love that. And I think it's also helpful to the fact of you're keeping the business like in the family. Some people are like, absolutely not, never do business with your friends, never do business with your family. But when you're able to figure it out, like, it does work very well. And I also wanted to shine light on, I know that your daughter, how old is she now, if you don't mind me asking?
She's 14 months.
Oh, so she's a baby.
Yes.
So, but when she gets older, I definitely know from my mom and how our relationship was, we were always connected at the hip. And I too, like, would go to work with her, you know, help her out, but we were always doing everything together. And that definitely forms a different relationship with your children. And a lot of people have asked my mom, they're like, how do you have this relationship with your daughter? And she's like, honestly, one is being honest, and two, being her best friend and just like creating that space for her. So if you can't be away from your daughter and you want to keep her around, I'm sure she'll appreciate it one day.
I think so too. I really do.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So I know we're getting closer to the end of our time here. There's one piece we haven't touched on yet, and it's the fact that you wrote a book. So you authored a book on the experience of opening an Etsy shop to help, like, you took the teaching skill that you have and leveraged it and applied it. Tell us a little about that process, that journey. Talk to us about this book. This is incredible.
So once I left teaching, I was, you know, working on my Etsy shop for probably about a year, and I was like, I miss teaching. Like, I miss teaching. I don't miss being in the classroom, but I miss teaching. So I was like, how can I leverage my teaching skills in this business? So I had started to try to, like, you know, post tips and stuff on my Instagram on how to grow your Etsy, just from things that I, you know, learned or researched. And I started to kind of create this big passion for teaching others about how to succeed. And that was something that was so much fun for me. And it really scratched an itch of, like, just wanting to go back to teaching, but not. So I was doing some, like, consultations and stuff. And I just really enjoyed, like, getting on the computer and logging into people's accounts and showing them how to, like, work the system to get more sales. And so a couple of people had suggested I release an ebook. So I started writing it just on, like, Google Docs, and whenever I would think of something, I would just add it in. And then once I kind of had all of my information, I put it into Canva. Like, this is so simple that anybody could do it. Like, if you are good at something, you can write a book. Like, it is so easy. And I was actually really surprised. But so I put all that text that I wrote into Canva because it was going to be an ebook, so it needed to be pretty. And I just kind of edited it, added background, add pictures, and just made it look cute. And I downloaded it as a PDF. And then I typed into my little Google how to publish a book. I'm the queen of Google. Like, you will not catch me a day not Googling something.
Yeah.
So, how to publish a book. And I saw you can, on barnesandnoble.com, anyone can publish an ebook. I don't know anything about physical books and publishing them.
Right.
But I got it uploaded onto Barnes and Noble, and I sent it to a couple friends to kind of get their feedback. Or actually, I think I might have posted on Instagram and did like a giveaway or something, just to get some feedback. Like if you want a free ebook in exchange for feedback. And all the feedback I got was really great. And it's a short book. It's a quick read. I want to say it's like 15 pages, but it's, PDF pages. So it's a little longer than a physical book. But yeah, I posted it on Barnes and Noble, and to this day, every few months Barnes and Noble will send me a check for like $50. There's a couple people out there who buy my book every now and then.
There you go.
I love that.
That's awesome.
That is amazing.
And I think it's cool that you definitely highlight on, it's simple. Like everything is really simple, although it can be intimidating. You can be scared. You're like, I don't want to leave teaching or whatever career that you might have. Like, simply just do it and like just jump, and it's okay. Yeah, you might fall, but like you're gonna pick yourself back up. But also too, just like publishing a book. While yes, it's an ebook that makes it no lesser than a physical copy, you still highlight that like you can do it. It is easy. Use some Google, use Canva, and just take the step to actually taking the action on it. So that's great.
Yeah, you're incredibly crafty. Yeah. No pun intended, but like I think there's something to be said about this ability of like, okay, I want to do this, and I just need to use the tools and resources I have. Google is I think people underrate Google and don't realize how much information, like, free information is available to us. Like it's all at the touch of your hands. It's there in the internet, and it's like you can leverage that to do these things that you really want to do, and you just did it. You're like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to teach myself how to do it. I'm going to learn it, and here we go. And that's incredible. And then to make it to top 1%, having done that is like, okay, so if it's something you want to do, if you want to leave teaching, if you're not passionate about your career, you're feeling burnt out, take the thing that you're passionate, excited about, and learn how to monetize it. Learn how to make an income from it. Learn how to be able to pour into it to support yourself. So that's incredible. I think that's really impactful for a lot of people.
I saw something recently that was like capture attention and then monetize it. So that's really all you have to do is like find something that captures people's attention and then figure out how to monetize it. Like if you write a children's book, post it online, get attention, and then monetize that, put it up for sale. Like it really comes down to as simple as capture attention and monetize it.
That's great. I like that motivation.
I like
Very
that.
Good.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
But with all of that being said, I definitely want to give you our number one question, and that is, Alexandra, what makes you feel empowered?
So I didn't prepare any of your guys' questions that you sent me, but this one, obviously I watched the other episodes, so I knew it was coming.
Oh, good.
This is the only question I thought about.
It's the most important one, so it's the only one to study.
It really is. It really is. And thinking about it, what makes me feel empowered is empowering others, and that is just like as simple as it can be. Giving other people the opportunity to succeed and know their worth and be something that they never thought that they could be, or if they are thinking that they can't do it, I'm like, it's so easy, just do it. Like, just try, just start. And empowering others to just like know that they can do something that is hard no matter what it is. That's just really, it makes me feel empowered. I love empowering others.
You can tell you were a teacher because that feels like such a like educator and teacher. Like I want to
feel it in my
give
soul.
other people the tools, to be
Yes.
successful. And that's such a like teacher core piece, I think, is wanting to see others like succeed and find those things and have those things. So that's amazing. Where can our listeners find you? We know you're on Etsy, so if you don't mind sharing your Etsy shop name, I definitely don't want to make orders crazier, but I do. I would love to. So I'm gonna highlight.
Yeah.
Look at these. If you're listening,
You're so
if
sweet.
listening, you won't see these, but I'm hoping you're watching. If you're on YouTube or Spotify, look at these incredible, and the light does them no justice, but Alexandra designed these cups with zero like insight from us, zero, and just like beautiful. Where can people find your Etsy shop? Where can they find you on Instagram? And then what is the name of your ebook for those who are looking to start an Etsy shop? So give us all of the details.
Yes. So all of my social medias are Wilmot by Design, and there's no N. It's just WILMOT. That's Etsy, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, all of that. My ebook is on barnesandnoble.com, which is so fun to say. But it's called From None to One. So just from a little nobody to the top 1%. And yeah, I love that you pointed out the cups, because just like taking a trend and going with it can be so powerful. I used, the Stanley trend, and I've been selling so many of these 40-ounce style cups, just leaning into a trend.